The moment Kong Minho's knuckles connected with the locker beside her head, Lizzie didn't flinch. Everyone else in the hallway froze, breath held, waiting for the explosion they'd seen 100 times before when someone dared challenge him. But she just looked up at him with those dark, unbothered eyes and said the 5 words that would ruin him forever. "I don't care who you are." His world tilted. Something cracked open inside his chest, something hungry and desperate and completely out of his control. She turned and walked away like he was nothing, like he wasn't the heir to the Kong dynasty, like his family didn't own half of Seoul, like every other person in the school didn't worship or fear him. And for the first time in his privileged, powerful life, Minho wanted something he couldn't have. Welcome to Story Korea, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. Minho stood frozen in that hallway long after Lizzie disappeared around the corner. His hand was still pressed against the locker, his breathing uneven, his entire body vibrating with something he didn't recognize. Anger, maybe. Fascination, definitely. The guys around him were staring, waiting to see what he'd do. He slowly pulled his hand back, flexed his fingers, and walked away without a word. Behind him, whispers exploded like wildfire. Did she just dismiss him? Who is she? Is she insane? Minho didn't care about the whispers. He only cared about the girl who'd looked at him like he was ordinary. That evening, Minho sat in his family's penthouse overlooking the Han River, unable to focus on anything. His father was in Japan handling business, his mother at some charity gala, and he was alone with his thoughts. Dangerous territory. He pulled out his phone and texted his best friend, Junwoo. "Who's the new girl? The African one in our year?" The response came immediately. "Lizzie. Transfer student from London. Scholarship kid. Keeps to herself." Why? Minho stared at the message. Scholarship kid. That explained why she didn't worship him. She didn't need his family's money or influence. She didn't need anything from him. That made her either very brave or very stupid. He suspected it was both. The next morning, Minho arrived at school earlier than usual. He told himself it wasn't to see her, but he positioned himself near the main entrance anyway. When Lizzie walked through the doors at exactly 8:15, his heart did something strange. She wore the standard uniform, but somehow she made it look different. The way the skirt hugged her curves, the way she'd rolled her sleeves just slightly, the way her natural hair was pulled back in a simple style that showcased her face. She was beautiful. Not in the delicate, careful way the other girls at this school were beautiful. She was confident, comfortable, unbothered. She walked past him without even glancing in his direction. Minho spent the entire day hyper-aware of where she was. Third period literature, she sat 3 rows ahead of him. She raised her hand exactly twice, both times offering insights that made the professor pause and nod approvingly. Lunch, she sat alone in the courtyard with a book, declining 3 separate invitations to join various groups. After school, she left immediately, no lingering, no socializing, no trying to get noticed. She was a ghost moving through their world, untouched by it. He found it infuriating and fascinating in equal measure. By the end of the week, Minho had learned her schedule without meaning to. Morning coffee from the shop on the corner, always black, no sugar. Literature class where she actually participated. Lunch alone, always alone. Afternoon study period in the library's far corner. She had a routine, a rhythm, and she never deviated from it. She also never looked at him. Not once. Every other person in the school watched him constantly, tracking his moods, his attention, his approval. But Lizzie moved through her days like he didn't exist. It was driving him absolutely insane. The following Monday, Minho did something he'd never done before. He sat down at her lunch table without asking. Lizzie looked up from her book, expression completely neutral. She didn't smile, didn't scowl, didn't react at all. "Can I help you?" Her voice was calm, almost bored. He realized he had no plan, no reason, no excuse. "I wanted to properly introduce myself. Minho. I know who you are. Everyone knows who you are." She turned a page in her book. Was there something else? The dismissal was clear. He should leave, should preserve his dignity, should pretend this never happened. Instead he stayed. "Why don't you care?" Lizzie finally looked at him fully, and the impact of her direct gaze hit him like a physical force. Care about what? About me. About any of this. She studied him for a long moment, and he felt weighed, measured, assessed. 'Cause none of it matters. Your family's money, your influence, the fact that everyone here treats you like royalty. In 5 years, we'll all be scattered across the world, and none of this high school hierarchy will mean anything. So why should I waste energy caring about something so temporary? Her logic was sound. It was also the most insulting thing anyone had ever said to him. She went back to her book, conversation clearly over. That night, Min-ho couldn't sleep. He kept replaying her words, her tone, the complete absence of interest in her eyes. He was used to people wanting things from him. Money, connections, status, his attention, his approval. He was used to calculating what people's angles were, what they were trying to gain by getting close to him. But Lizzie wanted nothing. She'd looked at him and found him lacking, uninteresting, not worth her time. It stung in a way he didn't know how to process. It also made him want to prove her wrong with an intensity that terrified him. The next day he tried again. This time he came prepared. He'd noticed she drank her coffee black, so he brought her one from the expensive cafe his family owned downtown. She looked at the cup, then at him, expression unreadable. What's this? Coffee. You drink it black. I'm not interested in whatever game you're playing. Lizzie stood up, gathering her things. I don't need your charity or your attention, Min-ho. Find someone else to entertain yourself with. She left the coffee sitting on the table and walked away. He stared at the abandoned cup, something twisting painfully in his chest. This wasn't a game. He didn't know what it was, but it wasn't a game. By the 3rd week of attempting to get her attention, Min-ho's friends started noticing. Junwoo cornered him after class. You're obsessed with her. No, I'm not. Min-ho's denial sounded weak even to his own ears. You've never worked this hard for anything in your life. Give up, man. She's clearly not interested. The problem was, Min-ho didn't know how to give up. He'd never had to before. Everything in his life had come easily. Money, status, attention, girls, success. Lizzie was the first person who'd ever required effort, who'd ever made him question himself, who'd ever made him feel like he had to earn something. And that made her the most valuable thing he'd ever encountered. That Friday everything changed. Min-ho was leaving the library when he heard raised voices near the parking lot. He recognized one voice immediately. Lizzie. The other voice belonged to Park Sungmin, a senior known for being an arrogant asshole with more money than sense. Min-ho moved closer, staying in the shadows. Come on, just one date. I promise I'll make it worth your time. Sungmin was standing too close to her, blocking her path to her bus stop. Said no. Thank you, but no. Lizzie's voice was steady, but Min-ho could hear the edge of discomfort in it. You think you're too good for me. Sungmin grabbed her wrist, and something primal exploded in Min-ho's chest. He was moving before his brain caught up, crossing the distance in seconds. His hand clamped down on Sungmin's wrist with enough force to make the other boy yelp. Let her go. Min-ho's voice was ice, the same tone his father used when ending business relationships. Permanently. Sungmin released Lizzie immediately, backing up. We were just talking, man. No, you were harassing her. There's a difference. Min-ho stepped between them, blocking Lizzie from Sungmin's view. Touch her again and you'll regret it. Sungmin tried to save face with a sneer, but he backed away, disappearing toward the student parking lot. Min-ho turned to Lizzie, his heart still pounding with residual rage. Are you okay? Lizzie was staring at him with an expression he couldn't read. I didn't need you to do that. No. Her eyes narrowed. Then why did you? 'Cause he was hurting you. Min-ho realized his hands were shaking slightly. Because the thought of someone touching you against your will made me want to destroy something. Because apparently I've lost my mind where you're concerned. The confession hung between them, raw and honest. Lizzie's expression softened just slightly, the first crack in her armor he'd seen. You're really not going to leave me alone, are you? Probably not. I should find that annoying. Do you? She tilted her head, studying him. I don't know what I find it. The following week, Lizzie started acknowledging his existence. Small things. A nod when he held the door for her. Thank you when he moved his bag so she could sit down in the library. A faint smile when he left coffee on her table without comment. It wasn't much, but to Min-ho it felt like winning the lottery. He stopped trying so hard, stopped orchestrating encounters, and just existed in her orbit. Slowly, carefully, she started letting him in. They began studying together in the library, not talking much but sharing the comfortable silence. She'd ask him questions about literature assignments. He'd help her navigate the social minefield of their school's politics. It was easy, natural, the beginning of something neither of them wanted to name. 3 weeks after the parking lot incident, Lizzie spoke to him first for the first time. They were in the library, working on separate assignments, when she closed her textbook and looked at him. Can I ask you something? Min-ho looked up, trying not to show how much her voluntary attention affected him. Course. Why me? Why do you keep trying with me when literally any other girl here would be thrilled to have your attention? He'd known this question was coming eventually. He'd been preparing an answer, something smooth and charming and safe. But when he met her eyes, the truth came out instead. Because you're the only person who's ever looked at me and seen past all the other stuff. Because you make me want to be better than I am. Because you're brilliant and beautiful and completely yourself. And I've never met anyone like you. Lizzie's eyes widened slightly, vulnerability flashing across her face before she locked it down. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone you barely know. No. He leaned back in his chair, giving her space. I'm not asking you for anything, Lizzie. I'm just being honest about why I can't seem to stay away from you. She was quiet for a long moment, and he could see her processing, calculating, deciding. Finally she spoke. I've never had this before. What? Someone actually trying to know me. My whole life people have made assumptions. About where I'm from, about what I must be like, about what I want or need. You're the first person who's ever bothered to ask. The confession cost her, he could tell. I want to know everything. Min-ho said it quietly, meaning every word. If you'll let me. That night, Min-ho lay in bed replaying every moment, every word, every flicker of emotion across her face. She was letting him in. Slowly, carefully, with 1,000 reservations, but she was letting him in. He felt like he'd been given something precious and fragile, something he had to protect with everything he had. His phone buzzed with a text from his father about the upcoming merger meeting, about expectations and family obligations and the weight of the Kong name. Min-ho ignored it. For the first time in his life, something mattered more than family business. She mattered more. The next morning, Min-ho arrived at school to find the hallways buzzing with gossip. At first, he ignored it, used to being the subject of speculation. But then he heard her name. Lizzie. He grabbed the nearest student. What's going on? The girl looked at him nervously. Someone posted photos online last night. Of the scholarship girl. They're saying she doesn't belong here, that she only got in because of diversity quotas. Ice flooded Min-ho's veins. Who posted them? I don't know, but they're everywhere. The girl scurried away, and Min-ho pulled out his phone. The photos were on the school's anonymous gossip account, pictures of Lizzie with cruel captions questioning her qualifications, her background, her right to be at their school. Rage burned through him so hot he could barely see straight. He found Lizzie in the bathroom hallway, surrounded by 3 girls he vaguely recognized. They were smiling, but it was the sharp-edged smile of sharks circling blood in the water. Must be so hard being here on charity, one of them was saying. Knowing you didn't actually earn your place. Lizzie's face was carefully blank, but Min-ho could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands were clenched at her sides. That's enough. His voice cut through the hallway like a blade. The girls turned, and their expressions shifted from cruel pleasure to fear in an instant. Min-ho, we were just talking. No, you were being vicious bullies because you're threatened by someone smarter and more genuine than you'll ever be. He stepped closer to them, and they backed up instinctively. If I hear any of you spreading rumors about Lizzie again, I'll make sure your families regret it. Am I clear? The girls fled. Min-ho turned to Lizzie, expecting gratitude or relief. Instead, she was looking at him with barely contained fury. I didn't need you to rescue me. They were attacking you. So, I can handle mean girls, Min-ho. I've been handling them my entire life. What I can't handle is you treating me like I'm some damsel who needs the powerful prince to fight her battles. She pushed past him and he grabbed her wrist gently. Lizzie, wait. Let go. He did immediately, hands up in surrender. Sorry. I saw them hurting you and I reacted. I shouldn't have assumed you needed my help. You're right, you shouldn't have. But her voice was less sharp, some of the anger bleeding away. I know you meant well. They stood in the empty hallway, tension crackling between them. Minho had never felt more helpless. I hate that they're targeting you because of me. This isn't because of you. This is because some people can't stand seeing someone different succeed. I've dealt with worse. That doesn't make it okay. No, it doesn't. But it's reality. Lizzie's expression softened. Look, I appreciate that you want to protect me. But I need you to trust that I can handle myself. If I need help, I'll ask for it. Can you do that? Minho wanted to say no, wanted to tell her that the thought of anyone hurting her made him physically ill, that he'd burn this entire school down before he'd let them make her feel unwelcome. But he forced himself to nod. Can try. That afternoon, Minho did something he rarely did. He went to his father's office downtown, waiting until the executive meeting ended before cornering him. I need a favor. His father, Kong Dae-sung, looked up from his tablet with surprise. His son never asked for favors. What kind of favor? There's a student at my school being targeted with online harassment. I want it stopped. The posts taken down, the accounts traced, consequences delivered. His father's eyes sharpened with interest. This girl you've been distracted by. Minho didn't bother denying it. What's she to you? Everything. The word came out before he could stop it. She's everything to me. Kong Dae-sung studied his son for a long moment. Minho had never seen his father look at him quite like this before, like he was seeing someone new, someone unexpected. You're serious about her. Even though she's not Korean, not from our world, not someone we would have chosen for you. Especially because of all that. Minho held his father's gaze. She makes me want to be better. She challenges me. She sees me not just the Kong name. That's worth more than any strategic marriage alliance you could arrange. His father was quiet for a long time. Then he picked up his phone and made 2 calls, rapid Korean too quick for Minho to fully follow. When he hung up, he looked at his son again. The posts will be gone within the hour. The account owners will be identified and dealt with appropriately. Thank you. Minho turned to leave, but his father's voice stopped him. If this girl is as important as you say, you need to be prepared for the consequences. Our world doesn't easily accept outsiders. No. Does she know what she's signing up for by being with you? We're not together. Not officially. But if we were, I'd make sure she understood everything. I'd make sure she knew I'd protect her from all of it. See that you do. His father's expression was unreadable. And Minho, if you're going to do this, commit fully. Don't make her suffer because you're afraid of what others will think. The Kong family doesn't bend to outside pressure. We make our own choices and face the consequences with strength. Understood. By the time Minho got back to school, the final period had ended. He found Lizzie at her usual spot in the courtyard, book in hand, seemingly unbothered by the day's events. He sat down across from her without asking. Posts are gone. All of them. The accounts have been identified and appropriate action is being taken. She looked up slowly. How did you manage that? I have resources. Minho kept his voice casual. And I used them. I thought we agreed you'd let me handle my own problems. We did. But those people broke the law with their harassment. I simply made sure the school and relevant authorities were aware. That's not interfering. That's justice. Lizzie stared at him, something shifting in her expression. You're impossible. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I haven't decided yet. But a smile played at the corners of her mouth. Small but genuine. Thank you. For getting them taken down, even if I am annoyed you went behind my back to do it. I'll try to consult you before my next grand rescue gesture. Please do. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Lizzie spoke again. Your father must be powerful. To make things disappear that fast. Yes. Does that bother you? Should it? Minho kept his voice neutral, but his heart was pounding. She could end this right now, Could decide his world was too complicated, too dangerous, too much. Lizzie closed her book, giving him her full attention. I'm not naive, Min-ho. I know your family is involved in more than just legitimate business. I know there are things you probably can't tell me, things that would worry most people. But here's what I care about. Are you a good person? Do you treat people with respect? Do you use your power to help or to hurt? He felt something tight in his chest loosen. I try to be good. I don't always succeed. But I never use my power to hurt people who don't deserve it. And I'd never, ever hurt you. Believe you. The simple statement felt like absolution. So where does that leave us? Min-ho took a risk. It leaves us wherever you want it to leave us. I'm not going to pressure you or rush you. But Lizzie, I need you to know that I'm serious about this. About you. I don't do casual. I don't do temporary. If you give me a chance, I'm all in. No half measures. Lizzie's eyes widened slightly, vulnerability flickering across her face. That's intense. No. Probably too much too soon. But I'm tired of pretending I feel less than I do. She looked at him for a long moment, and he could see the war happening behind her eyes. Fear and hope, doubt and desire, all battling for dominance. Finally she spoke. I need time. To process this, to figure out what I want, to understand what being with you would actually mean. Min-ho nodded, relief flooding through him. She hadn't said no. She hadn't run. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. They sat together as the sun set, not touching but sharing space, and Min-ho felt something settle in his chest. This was enough. For now this was enough. But deep in his bones, he knew the waiting wouldn't last long. Forces were already moving that would push them together faster than either of them were ready for. His world had noticed her. And his world didn't like complications. The following week passed in a strange bubble. Min-ho gave Lizzie space, but they orbited each other constantly. Study sessions in the library. Coffee before first period. Comfortable silence in the courtyard. They were building something, slowly and carefully. And Min-ho had never been more patient with anything in his life. His friends noticed the change in him. You're different, Jun-woo observed one afternoon. More centered or something. It's her. Obviously it's her. His friend grinned. You've got it bad, don't you? So bad it's embarrassing. Min-ho didn't bother denying it. But she's worth it. She's worth everything. Friday night, there was a party at one of the wealthy students' houses. Min-ho usually attended these out of obligation, putting in an appearance to maintain his social position. This time he almost skipped it. But Jun-woo convinced him to go. Show face for an hour then leave. Min-ho arrived fashionably late, the party already in full swing. The house was massive, the music loud, alcohol flowing despite everyone being underage. He made his rounds, saying hello to the right people, declining drinks, counting down the minutes until he could leave with his social duty fulfilled. Then he saw her. Lizzie. She was standing near the pool area, looking uncomfortable but trying to hide it, clearly dragged here by someone. She wore jeans and a simple top, nothing fancy, but she looked beautiful. She also looked trapped, cornered by two guys Min-ho vaguely recognized as college students, friends of the party host's older brother. He was moving before he thought about it, crossing the crowded patio in seconds. The guys were standing too close to her, clearly drunk, clearly pushing boundaries. Come on, just one dance. Lizzie was backing up, hitting the pool fence, nowhere left to go. Said no, thank you. Her voice was firm but Min-ho could hear the edge of fear. Don't be like that. We just want to have fun. One of them reached for her arm. Min-ho's hand shot out, grabbing the guy's wrist mid-reach. She said no. The words came out cold, dangerous, backed by every ounce of power and threat the Kong name carried. The guy tried to pull away but Min-ho's grip tightened. Do we have a problem? No problem. The other guy was smarter, already backing up, pulling his friend with him. We were just leaving. They disappeared into the crowd. Min-ho turned to Lizzie, who was staring at him with wide eyes. Came. I didn't know you'd be here. He stepped closer, his body blocking her from the rest of the party. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? No, they were just persistent. But thank you for intervening. This time I actually needed it. The admission seemed to cost her. Minho felt something fierce and protective surge through him. You shouldn't be here alone. Where's whoever brought you? My roommate. She's somewhere inside with a guy she likes. I was just waiting to catch a cab home. Take you. Minho wasn't asking. My driver is outside. Lizzie looked like she wanted to argue, but exhaustion won out. Hey, thank you. They left the party, Minho's hand on her lower back, guiding her through the crowd. He could feel people watching, gossiping, but he didn't care. Let them talk. His driver was waiting by the entrance, and Minho opened the car door for her. She slid in, and he followed, giving his driver her address before the privacy screen slid up. The car pulled away from the party, and silence fell between them. Are you sure you're okay? Minho couldn't stop himself from asking again. That must have been scary. I've dealt with worse. But yeah, it was scary. I hate feeling cornered like that. Powerless. Minho's hands clenched into fists. If I'd been 2 minutes later, if they'd actually touched you, I would have destroyed them. No. Lizzie looked at him, something soft in her eyes. You have this fierce protectiveness about you. It's intense. Is that bad? Well. She reached out, her hand covering his fist until his fingers unclenched. It's actually kind of wonderful. As long as you remember I'm not made of glass. I know you're not. You're the strongest person I've ever met. But that doesn't mean you have to handle everything alone. I want to be someone you can rely on. Her hand was still on his, warm and real, and Minho felt like his heart might explode from his chest. They arrived at her building too soon. Minho walked her to the door, something in him screaming not to let her go yet. Thank you for the ride. And for rescuing me. Again. Lizzie smiled up at him, and he was lost. Anytime. Mean that. Call me if you need anything anytime. I will. She hesitated at the door, then turned back. Minho. Yeah. I think I'm done processing. I think I know what I want. His heart stopped. What do you want? I want to try this. See where it goes. No promises because we're still figuring each other out. But I want to try. Minho felt like he could fly. He stepped closer, giving her time to back away. He didn't. Can I kiss you, please? He cupped her face in his hands, thumbs stroking her cheeks, and leaned in slowly. Their first kiss was soft, tentative testing. Then Lizzie's hands fisted in his shirt and pulled him closer, and the kiss deepened into something that made his head spin. She tasted like hope and possibility and everything he'd been craving. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minho rested his forehead against hers. I'm all in. You need to know that. I'm completely all in on this, on us. But, because I don't do things halfway either. She kissed him once more, quick and sweet, then disappeared inside her building, leaving him standing on the street feeling like his entire world had just shifted on its axis. The next morning, Minho woke up feeling different. Lighter. Happier. He checked his phone to find a text from Lizzie. Good morning. Last night wasn't a dream, right? He grinned like an idiot, texting back immediately. Definitely not a dream. Coffee before school. Her response was almost instant. Your place or mine? Cafe on the corner. 8 a.m. I'll be there. Minho got ready faster than he ever had, choosing his clothes carefully, wanting to look good for her. By the time he arrived at the cafe, she was already there. 2 coffees on the table. She'd ordered for him. Black, no sugar, just like she took hers. The simple gesture felt intimate, meaningful. They spent the morning talking about everything and nothing. Classes, books, music, dreams, stupid jokes that made them both laugh. Minho felt like he was seeing her in color for the first time. All the walls down, all the guardedness gone. This was who she was when she felt safe. Funny, warm, brilliant, absolutely mesmerizing. By the time they had to leave for school, he was more in love than ever. School they didn't hide. Minho held her hand in the hallways, walked her to class, sat with her at lunch. The response was immediate and predictable. Stares, whispers, shock. Kong Minho, the untouchable heir, holding hands with the scholarship girl. The gossip spread like wildfire. By the end of the day, everyone knew they were together. Most people were too intimidated by Minho to say anything to their faces, but Lizzie felt the weight of 1,000 judging eyes. Are you okay with this? Minho asked as they walked to his car. With everyone knowing. With them talking. With you. That's all that matters. Lizzie squeezed his hand. Let them talk. But Minho could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she held herself a little more carefully. The attention was getting to her, even if she wouldn't admit it. That night his mother called. I heard interesting news today. About a girl you're seeing. Minho had been expecting this. I'm seeing someone. Someone not Korean. Someone not from our world. She's brilliant, kind, strong, and she makes me happy. That should be all that matters. His mother was quiet for a long moment. Your father told me you asked for his help with some online harassment situation. You must care about this girl very much. Do. I'm in love with her, Mom. Another pause. Like to meet her. Before this gets more serious. We're already serious. Then it's definitely time I met her. Bring her to dinner. Next Saturday. No pressure, just family. Minho closed his eyes, knowing this would be a test. I'll ask her. Just Mom, please be kind to her. She's important to me. I'll reserve judgment until I meet her. That's all I'm promising. It would have to be enough. The next week, Minho prepared Lizzie for meeting his family. They're traditional, formal. They'll ask questions. Some might be uncomfortable. She looked nervous but determined. Can handle it. I know you can. But I need you to know that no matter what they say, no matter how they react, it doesn't change how I feel about you. My family doesn't dictate my life. Because I'm not changing who I am to impress anyone. I don't want you to. I want them to see exactly who you are and why you're incredible. The dinner approached with the weight of destiny. Saturday arrived too fast. Minho picked Lizzie up, and she looked stunning in a simple dress that somehow made her look elegant and comfortable simultaneously. You're beautiful. You've said that 3 times since I got in the car. Because it's true. She laughed, nervous energy vibrating through her. I can't tell if I'm more nervous about impressing your family or about the food. What if I can't use chopsticks properly? You'll be fine. And even if you drop every piece of food, I'll still think you're perfect. You're biased. Completely. Hopelessly. Irreversibly biased. They arrived at the Kong family estate, and Lizzie's eyes widened at the size of it. You live here. I grew up here. Now I mostly stay at the penthouse. But family dinners are always at the main house. It's tradition. This is intimidating. Minho took her hand. You're about to meet my family, not face an execution, though sometimes those feel similar. She laughed despite her nerves, and he loved her for it. His mother greeted them at the door, impeccably dressed, her expression neutral but assessing. You must be Lizzie. I'm pleased to meet you, Mrs. Kong. Lizzie bowed slightly, respectful but not subservient. Come in. Dinner is ready. His father was already at the table, and his older sister, Minji, had flown in from New York for this obvious family inspection. Dinner started formally. Polite conversation, careful questions about Lizzie's background, her studies, her plans. She answered honestly, confidently, not trying to be anything other than herself. Minho watched his family watching her, trying to read their reactions. His father remained unreadable. His mother's expression softened slightly whenever Lizzie laughed at something Minho said. His sister looked openly curious, asking questions about Lizzie's favorite books and her thoughts on Korean literature. So what made you choose our school? His mother asked. The scholarship opportunity and the literature program. I want to be a writer, and your school has one of the best programs in the country. Writer. His father spoke for the first time since dinner began. That's an unstable career path. Maybe. But it's my passion. I'd rather struggle doing something I love than succeed at something that makes me miserable. Admirable. Naive. His father's tone was neutral. The world rarely rewards passion over practicality. Minho tensed, but Lizzie smiled. I think the world is changing. And even if it's not, I'd rather take the risk than always wonder what if. His father's expression shifted slightly, something almost like approval flickering across his face. You have spirit. You'll need it. If you're serious about my son, his world will test you in ways you can't imagine. I'm aware. Lizzie's voice was steady. And I'm still here. His mother set down her chopsticks. You're very different from what we expected. Is that good or bad? I haven't decided yet. But his mother smiled slightly. You make him happy. I've never seen Min-ho like this before. That counts for something. The tension eased. His sister started asking about Lizzie's writing, genuinely interested, and the conversation flowed more naturally. By the end of dinner, Min-ho could see his family warming to her, slowly but surely. She was winning them over simply by being herself, and he'd never been more proud. After dinner, his mother pulled him aside while Lizzie was in the bathroom. She's not what I expected. Is that good? You're strong, independent, genuine. Those are good qualities. His mother's expression was thoughtful. But Min-ho, you need to be realistic. Your world, our world, it's not easy for outsiders. She'll face discrimination, judgment, people who think she's not good enough or that she's with you for your money. Can she handle that? Can you handle watching her go through that? I'll protect her from all of it. You can't protect her from everything. Can try. And I will. Because she's worth it, Mom. She's worth everything. On the drive home, Lizzie was quiet. He glanced over, worried. Are you okay? That was intense. Your family is intimidating. They liked you. Really. Min-ho squeezed her hand. My father wouldn't have kept talking to you if he didn't respect you. My mother smiled at you. My sister asked for your number so you can talk about books. Trust me, that was a success. Lizzie leaned back in her seat, relief visible. I was so nervous I could barely eat. You were perfect. The way you stood your ground with my father, the way you were honest about your dreams, the way you made them see who you really are. I'm so proud of you. They arrived at her building, but neither of them moved to get out of the car. Min-ho turned to face her. I know this is a lot. My family, their expectations, the world we live in. If it's too much, if you want to slow down or take a step back, I'll understand. Do you want to slow down? No. I want the opposite. But I need to know you're okay, that this isn't overwhelming you. It is overwhelming, Lizzie admitted. But not in a bad way. In an intense, everything is changing, I'm falling for you way. Which is terrifying but also kind of wonderful. I'm falling for you too. Min-ho cupped her face. Actually, I've already fallen. I'm completely gone for you. She kissed him deep and slow, and Min-ho felt the world fade away. There was only her, only this, only the impossible rightness of them together. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Lizzie smiled. I should go inside before we get carried away in your car. Probably a good idea. He kissed her once more, unable to help himself. Text me when you're inside. Always. She climbed out, turned back to blow him a kiss, and disappeared into her building. Min-ho sat in his car, heart full, completely and utterly in love with a girl who'd walked into his life and changed everything. The next few weeks were the happiest of Min-ho's life. He and Lizzie fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee, walking to classes together, study sessions that turned into makeout sessions, dinners at small restaurants where they could be anonymous. They learned each other's rhythms, preferences, fears, dreams. She told him about growing up in London, feeling caught between cultures, never quite fitting in anywhere. He told her about the pressure of being the Kong heir, expected to be perfect, never allowed to show weakness. They understood each other in ways Min-ho had never experienced with anyone else. But there was darkness gathering on the horizon that neither of them saw coming. Started with small things. Anonymous notes left in Lizzie's locker. You don't belong here. Go back to where you came from. She threw them away without telling Min-ho, not wanting to worry him. Then came the social media posts on burner accounts, photos of her and Min-ho together with hateful comments about interracial relationships, about gold diggers, about her taking advantage of him. She blocked and reported them, tried to ignore the poison seeping into her daily life. But the attacks escalated. Someone spray-painted a slur on her dorm room door. Her textbooks went missing from the library. Girls she'd never spoken to would whisper loudly when she walked past, making sure she heard every cruel word. Min-ho noticed something was wrong. Lizzie, what's going on? You've been distant lately. I'm fine. Just stressed about midterms. Don't lie to me. His voice was gentle but firm. Something's bothering you. Talk to me. She wanted to tell him, wanted to let him help, but she also didn't want to prove everyone right. Didn't want to be the girl who needed constant rescuing, who couldn't handle his world. I said I'm fine. Please just drop it. He did, reluctantly, but his eyes followed her with concern, and Lizzie felt the weight of keeping secrets pressing down on her chest. A few days later, everything came to a head. Lizzie was leaving her last class when 3 girls cornered her in the stairwell. The same ones who'd been spreading rumors, emboldened by Minho's absence. He was in a business meeting with his father downtown. Think you're special because Kong Minho's slumming it with you? The ringleader, a girl named Haewon whose family rivaled the Kangs in wealth, stepped closer. He's gonna get bored. Rich boys always do. Especially with girls like you. Girls like me. Lizzie kept her voice steady despite her pounding heart. You know what I mean. You're a novelty. Something different to play with. But eventually, he'll realize you're not worth the scandal. Lizzie tried to push past them, but Haewon grabbed her bag, yanking hard enough that books spilled everywhere. How clumsy of me. The other girls laughed, and something inside Lizzie snapped. She'd been patient, understanding, trying to take the high road. But these girls had been tormenting her for weeks, and she was done. You need to move. Or what? You'll tell Minho. Let him fight your battles again. Actually, I'll handle it myself. Lizzie stepped closer, using every inch of her height. I've been patient because I didn't want to cause problems. But hear me clearly. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not intimidated by your money or your families or your petty high school hierarchy. And I'm certainly not leaving because you're threatened by my relationship. Haewon's face flushed with anger. You think you're so special. Let's see how special you feel. She shoved Lizzie hard. Lizzie stumbled back, her ankle twisting painfully as she caught herself on the railing. Pain shot up her leg, sharp and immediate. The girls laughed again, cruel and satisfied, before disappearing down the stairs. Lizzie stood there, breathing hard, her ankle throbbing, trying not to cry from pain and frustration and the unfairness of it all. She gathered her scattered books with shaking hands, limping badly, and made her way out of the building. She just needed to get home, ice her ankle, and figure out what to do next. But Minho was waiting by the entrance. His driver always picked him up at 4, and today he'd come back to school early to surprise her. The moment he saw her limping, his expression transformed into something dangerous. What happened? Who did this? It's nothing. I twisted my ankle. Lizzie tried to walk normally, but the pain made her wince. Don't lie to me. His voice was steel. Not again. Who hurt you? Minho, please just take me home. Not until you tell me what happened. She saw the fear beneath his anger, the desperation to protect her, and the walls came down. It was Haewon and her friends. They cornered me in the stairwell, said some things, and pushed me. Fell. The silence that followed was terrifying. Minho's entire body went rigid. His jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jump. His hands curled into fists at his sides, and his eyes went cold in a way she'd never seen before. Get in the car. His voice was deadly calm. Where are you going? To handle this. Minho, no. Lizzie grabbed his arm despite her ankle screaming in protest. Don't do something you'll regret. The only thing I'll regret is not doing this sooner. He looked at her, and she saw rage and guilt warring on his face. You've been dealing with this alone, haven't you? The notes, the posts, all of it. You didn't tell me because you thought you had to handle it yourself. I didn't want to be that girl. The one who always needs saving. You're not. You're the girl who's been incredibly strong while people attacked you for the crime of being with me. His voice cracked slightly. And I'm the idiot who didn't protect you better. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. They're targeting you because of me. Because I brought you into my world without making sure everyone understood that you're untouchable. His eyes hardened again. That ends today. Minho helped her into the car. His touch gentle despite the violence radiating from him. He told his driver to take them to the hospital first. Lizzie protested, but he was immovable. Your ankle needs to be checked. Then I'm handling this. At the hospital, X-rays showed a bad sprain but no break. The doctor wrapped her ankle, gave her crutches, and prescribed rest and ice. Minho stayed by her side the entire time, holding her hand. His jaw still tight with barely controlled rage. When they finally left, He made a phone call in rapid Korean that Lizzie couldn't follow. His tone was commanding, absolute. The voice of someone used to being obeyed without question. What did you just do? Made sure Haewon's family understands the consequences of their daughter's actions. Min-ho, you can't just destroy someone's family over a high school fight. I'm not destroying them. I'm making sure they know exactly who they're dealing with. They drove to Lizzie's apartment in tense silence. Min-ho helped her inside, settling her on the couch with ice on her ankle, pillows propped up, everything she could possibly need within reach. Then he knelt in front of her, taking her hands. I need you to tell me everything. Every note, every post, every incident. All of it. Why? Because you've been fighting this alone, and I need to understand what I failed to protect you from. I told you I could handle myself. And you have. You've been incredibly strong. But Lizzie, you shouldn't have to handle harassment and assault by yourself. That's not weakness. That's what partners do. They protect each other. So she told him. Everything. The notes, the social media attacks, the vandalism, the whispers, the isolation, the constant low-level hostility she'd been navigating for weeks. With every detail, Min-ho's expression grew darker. By the time she finished, he looked like he was barely holding himself together. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I didn't want to prove everyone right. That I'm a burden, that I can't handle your world, that I'm more trouble than I'm worth. Tears burned her eyes. I wanted to be strong enough for this. For you. You are strong enough. You're the strongest person I know. His voice was fierce. But strength doesn't mean suffering alone. It means trusting the people who love you to stand with you. Love. The word slipped out, quiet and hopeful. Yes, love. Min-ho cupped her face. I'm in love with you, Lizzie. Completely, hopelessly, irrevocably in love with you. And the fact that you've been going through this hell alone while I was oblivious makes me want to burn the entire school down. I love you too. She'd been feeling it for weeks but afraid to say it. I love you so much it scares me. Don't be scared. He kissed her softly. I've got you. From now on I've got you. That night, Min-ho stayed with her, taking care of her, making her dinner, helping her get comfortable. They fell asleep on her couch, tangled together. And Lizzie felt safer than she had in weeks. The next morning, the entire school knew what had happened. Not because Lizzie told anyone, but because Min-ho made sure they knew. He stood in the main hallway during the busiest passing period and addressed everyone within earshot. His voice carried, cold and authoritative, impossible to ignore. Most of you know that Lizzie was assaulted yesterday. That she's been harassed for weeks. That people in this school have made her feel unwelcome because she's with me. That ends now. He looked around at the gathering crowd, making eye contact with specific people. Haewon and her family have been dealt with. She's transferring schools. But if anyone else thinks they can target Lizzie, harass her, make her uncomfortable in any way, understand this. You're not just going against her. You're going against me. Against my family. And we don't forget. The message was clear. Terrifying. Absolute. Lizzie watched from the library window, her ankle propped up, and felt something complicated twist in her chest. Gratitude and discomfort mixed together. He was protecting her, but in a way that made her feel simultaneously cherished and like a possession. After school, Min-ho found her. I saw what you did. And was that too much? I don't know. Lizzie chose her words carefully. I appreciate you defending me. But Min-ho, I need to know that you see me as your equal, not something you own and protect. You are my equal. But this world, my world, it only respects power. If I don't show them that you're under my protection, they'll keep coming after you. I understand that. But I also need my own voice. My own power. Not just yours. Tell me how. Tell me what you need and I'll make it happen. She thought for a moment. Let me address it. Tomorrow. In my own words. Let people see that I'm not just Kong Min-ho's girlfriend. I'm Lizzie and I have my own strength. Min-ho studied her, then nodded slowly. Bae. But I'm standing beside you. Not in front of you. Beside you. Ill. The next day, Lizzie stood in the same hallway, without crutches despite her still healing ankle, and spoke. Her voice wasn't as loud as Min-ho's, but it carried its own authority. I know what people have been saying about me. That I'm with Min-ho for his money. That I don't belong here. that I'm trying to be something I'm not. But here's the truth. I earned my place at this school through my academics. I'm with Minho because he's kind, genuine, and treats me like I matter. And I belong anywhere I choose to be. She looked around at the watching students. I'm not asking for your approval. I don't need it. But if you have a problem with me, address it to my face. Don't hide behind anonymous posts and cruel notes. Have the courage to own your prejudice. The silence that followed was profound. Then, slowly, someone started clapping. Then another person. And more. Not everyone, but enough. Enough to matter. Minho was watching her with such pride and love that Lizzie felt her chest swell. That was perfect. You were perfect. We make a good team. The best team. He kissed her forehead, then her lips, not caring who was watching. From that day forward things changed. Not completely, there would always be people who disapproved, who judged, who whispered. But the open hostility stopped. The attacks ended. Lizzie could walk through the halls without feeling like prey. She'd claimed her own power, and combined with Minho's protection, she was finally safe. The next few weeks were peaceful. They studied together, went on dates, talked about the future. Minho was applying to universities, all prestigious, all demanding. What about you? Where do you want to go? Lizzie hesitated. I've been accepted to several schools in London. I was planning to go back after graduation. London. Minho's voice was carefully neutral. That's far. No. But it's home. Or at least it was. She looked at him. Things are different now. Or here. Him. His hand found hers. But I won't ask you to give up your dreams for me. What if our dreams can align? There are great universities in London. My father has business there. I could work in the London office. You'd move to London. For you. Without hesitation. Minho pulled her close. I meant what I said, Lizzie. I'm all in on this. Distance isn't going to change that. But I'd rather be in the same city as you than half a world away. Are you sure? Your family, your responsibilities here. My family will adapt. And most of my responsibilities can be managed remotely now. His eyes held hers. You're my priority. Building a life with you is my priority. Everything else is negotiable. They applied to universities together, making plans, dreaming about apartments they could share, building a future that felt real and possible. But Minho's father had other ideas. He called Minho into his office downtown 2 weeks before graduation. Sit down, son. We need to talk about your future. No. London. Minho kept his voice respectful but firm. I've already submitted applications to 3 universities there. Lizzie's been accepted to a prestigious literature program, and I want to be with her. His father was quiet for a long moment. You're willing to leave Seoul, leave the family business, leave everything you've been groomed for, all for this girl? She's not this girl. She's the woman I love. The woman I'm going to marry eventually. Minho met his father's eyes steadily. And yes, I'm willing to go to London for her. Plus, 'cause that's what you do when you love someone. You build your life around what matters most. His father's expression was unreadable. What if I told you that's not acceptable? That I need you here. That the business requires your presence. Then I'd respectfully disagree and go to London anyway. Minho's heart was pounding, but his voice stayed steady. I love you, father. I respect you. But my life is my own. Kong Dae-sung leaned back in his chair, studying his son. You've changed. He's changed you. For the better. She makes me want to be more than just the Kong heir. She makes me want to be a good man, a good partner, someone worthy of her love. That's everything. His father nodded slowly, something shifting in his expression. Your mother and I had a similar conversation with my father when we first married. He wanted us to stay in Korea. Your mother wanted to travel. We compromised, spent 5 years abroad before coming back to take over the family business. Perhaps we can reach a similar arrangement. You're saying I can go to London. For now. 4 years for university. But then I'll need you back here. The business needs continuity. Can you accept that? Minho thought about it. 4 years with Lizzie in London, building their relationship, supporting her dreams, then coming home to take over the family business. It wasn't perfect, but it was compromise. Could Lizzie handle moving to Seoul eventually? Would she be willing to make Korea her permanent home? Can accept that. His father stood, extending his hand. Then you have my blessing. But Min-ho, treat her well. Girls like that, women with that much strength and character, they're rare. If you're fortunate enough to earn her love, don't take it for granted. I won't. Promise. That evening, Min-ho took Lizzie to their favorite spot, a quiet cafe near the river where they'd had their first real date. He ordered her usual coffee, then took her hands across the table. I talked to my father today. About London. And Lizzie's voice was nervous, hopeful. He's giving us 4 years. We can go to London together, study, build our life. But after graduation, I'll need to come back to Seoul, to take over the family business. Her expression flickered with something complicated. So eventually, I'd need to move to Seoul permanently. If you want to stay with me, yes. Min-ho squeezed her hands. I know that's a lot to ask. I know London is your home. But Lizzie, I want forever with you. And my forever is tied to Seoul, to the family business, to responsibilities I can't walk away from. Can you accept that? She was quiet for a long moment, processing. 4 years in London first. Time to finish school, establish yourself as a writer, figure out if this, us, is really what you want long-term. No pressure. If after 4 years you decide Seoul isn't for you, that this life isn't what you want, I'll understand. Lizzie looked at him, really looked at him, seeing the vulnerability beneath the confidence. You'd really let me go if I chose London over Seoul. It would destroy me. But yes, I'd let you go. Because I love you enough to want you to be happy, even if that happiness doesn't include me. That's when she knew. That level of selfless love, that willingness to sacrifice his own happiness for hers, that was real. That was forever. Choose you. Her voice was steady, certain. London for 4 years, then Seoul. Choose us, Min-ho. Whatever that looks like. The relief on his face was profound. He came around the table, pulled her up into his arms, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. I love you so much. I love you too. Always. They stayed at the cafe until closing, planning their future, dreaming out loud, completely absorbed in each other. Neither of them noticed the man watching from across the street, taking photos, reporting back to someone who didn't want Kong Min-ho finding happiness. Someone who saw Lizzie as a weakness to exploit. The danger they thought had passed was only just beginning. 2 days before graduation, Lizzie was walking home from the library when a car pulled up beside her. Black sedan, tinted windows, expensive. She tensed immediately, but before she could react, the back door opened and a voice called out, Miss Lizzie, a moment of your time, please. An older Korean man sat in the back seat, distinguished, well-dressed, radiating authority. I'm Choi Sengmin, business associate of the Kong family. Rival actually, though we maintain appearances. I mean you no harm. I simply want to talk. About what? About Min-ho. About the future you're planning with him. About whether you truly understand what you're agreeing to. Lizzie's instincts screamed at her to walk away, but curiosity won. She stayed on the sidewalk, not getting in the car but close enough to hear. I'm listening. The Kong family isn't what they appear to be. Their business dealings aren't all legitimate. There are connections to organizations that operate outside the law. Violence, coercion, things that would horrify someone like you. Choi's voice was smooth, concerned. Min-ho may seem like a perfect gentleman, but he's being groomed to take over an empire built on morally questionable foundations. Are you prepared for that? I know about his family's business. Not all of it, but enough. And don't you care about the kind of man he might become? The things he might have to do. Min-ho is a good person. Whatever his family business involves, he'll handle it with integrity. Lizzie kept her voice firm. And it's not your concern who I choose to be with. Oh, but it is. Choi's expression hardened. You see, I have a daughter. Wonderful girl, accomplished, from a good family. She and Min-ho were supposed to be matched. An arrangement between our families that would have secured very beneficial business partnerships. Then you came along and complicated everything. So this is about business. About some arranged marriage that never even existed. It existed. The families had discussions. Agreements were close. Then Min-ho became obsessed with you and refused to consider anyone else. Choi leaned forward slightly. You've disrupted very careful plans, Miss Lizzie. That makes you a liability. Is that a threat? It's a warning. There are people in our world who don't appreciate disruptions, who will do whatever necessary to restore order. If I were you, I'd consider whether Minho's love is worth the danger you're putting yourself in. Lizzie stepped back from the car. Thank you for the warning. But I'm not going anywhere. The threat, veiled as concern, only made her more determined. Choi studied her for a moment, then smiled. You're braver than I expected. Or more foolish. Time will tell which. The car pulled away, leaving Lizzie standing on the sidewalk, heart pounding. She should tell Minho immediately. But graduation was in 2 days, and she didn't want to ruin it with more drama. She'd tell him after. They'd handle it together. Graduation day arrived bright and perfect. Lizzie walked across the stage to receive her diploma, and Minho's cheering was the loudest in the entire auditorium. His family was there, watching with approval as Lizzie accepted academic honors, as teachers praised her work, as she represented everything they'd hoped their son would find in a partner. Intelligence, determination, grace under pressure. After the ceremony, Minho found her in the crowd, lifted her off her feet, and spun her around. We did it. We graduated. We survived high school. Now London. Now our future. Now forever. He kissed her, not caring about the hundreds of people watching, and Lizzie felt happiness so pure it hurt. The graduation party that night was at Minho's family estate. Elegant, expensive, filled with Seoul's elite. Lizzie wore a dress Minho had bought her, deep blue that made her skin glow, and she moved through the party on his arm, finally comfortable in his world. She'd earned her place here, not through his family's acceptance, but through her own strength, her own achievements, her own refusal to be anything other than herself. Minho introduced her to business associates, family friends, distant relatives. This is Lizzie, my girlfriend, the woman I love. He said it with such pride that Lizzie's heart swelled every single time. But halfway through the party, Minho was pulled away for what his father called an urgent business matter. 5 minutes, promise. Minho kissed her temple. Stay with Junwoo. Don't wander off alone. I'll be fine. Go handle your business. She watched him disappear into his father's study, then accepted a glass of champagne from a passing server. The party continued around her, conversations in Korean and English blending together, laughter and music filling the elegant space. Lizzie was admiring the art on the walls when someone approached. You must be the famous Lizzie. The voice was female, cool, assessing. Lizzie turned to find a beautiful Korean woman, probably mid-20s, designer dress, calculating eyes. I'm Choi Min-young. I believe you met my father recently. Lizzie's stomach dropped. The daughter. The one whose supposed engagement was disrupted. I didn't realize that conversation would lead to a confrontation. It's not a confrontation. Min-young's smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm simply curious about the woman who stole Minho's attention. I didn't steal anything. He made his own choice. Did he? Or did you manipulate a naive boy who didn't understand the consequences of choosing passion over duty? Min-young stepped closer. Pretty. I'll give you that. But you're also temporary. Minho will realize eventually that love isn't enough. That family obligations, business partnerships, cultural expectations, they all matter more than feelings. You don't know him as well as you think. I know his family. I know the pressure they'll put on him once you're in London, far away. And the reality of maintaining a long-distance relationship with someone so different becomes clear. Min-young's voice dropped lower. He'll come home for holidays, business trips, family obligations. And I'll be here, patient, understanding, familiar. Eventually, he'll remember why matches like ours make sense. Why marrying within our world is easier than trying to bridge impossible gaps. Before Lizzie could respond, Min-young smiled coldly. Enjoy your 4 years in London. Because that's all they'll be. 4 years before reality tears you apart. She walked away, leaving Lizzie standing there with champagne turning sour in her stomach. The words were poison, designed to create doubt, to plant seeds of insecurity. Lizzie knew that. But knowing something intellectually didn't stop the fear from creeping in. What if Min-young was right? What if 4 years of distance, of cultural differences, of family pressure? What if it was too much? Minho found her minutes later, immediately sensing something wrong. What happened? Talk to me. I met Choi Min-young. His expression darkened. What did she say? That I'm temporary. That you'll realize eventually that choosing me over someone from your world was a mistake. Minho pulled her into a quiet corner, away from the party, his hands framing her face. Look at me. Lizzie looked up, seeing intensity and determination in his eyes. Min-young and her father, they're bitter about losing a business deal. That's all their so-called engagement ever was. A business transaction. I never agreed to it. I never wanted it. And the idea that I'd choose duty over you, over us, is insulting to everything we've built. But what if she's right? What if the distance, the differences, what if it's too much? Then we'll figure it out together. His voice was fierce. But I'm not giving up on us because of fear or distance or other people's opinions. Are you? Well, the answer came immediately from her heart. I'm not giving up on us either. But because in 4 years after London, after we come back to Seoul, I'm going to marry you. He said it like a vow, like a promise, like a fact. And then no one will be able to question whether you belong in my world. You'll be my world. Lizzie kissed him, pouring every ounce of love and trust and commitment into it. When they finally broke apart, she smiled. 4 years, then marriage. I can work with that. They returned to the party hand in hand, united, unshakable. But the Choi family wasn't done making trouble. Not even close. The attack came 2 days before they were supposed to fly to London. Minho and Lizzie were leaving a restaurant in Gangnam. Late evening, the streets busy with nightlife. Minho's driver was bringing the car around when 3 men appeared from an alley. They moved with purpose, with violence, heading straight for Lizzie. Minho saw them first. Get behind me. He pushed her back, positioning himself between her and the threat. But there were 3 of them, armed with bats, and Minho was alone. The first man swung, and Minho dodged. His reflexes sharp from years of taekwondo training. He grabbed the bat, twisted, used the man's momentum against him. The second attacker came from the side, and Minho blocked, countering with a strike that sent the man stumbling. But the third man went for Lizzie. She screamed, trying to run, but he grabbed her arm, yanking her toward the alley. Minho saw red. He abandoned defense, fighting with a ferocity that was terrifying. He took a hit to his ribs that made him gasp, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Not when they had her. He heard Lizzie crying out, heard the fear in her voice, and something primal took over. He fought like a man possessed, taking down the 2 attackers in front of him with brutal efficiency. Then he turned to see the third man dragging Lizzie into the alley, and he ran. He tackled the man from behind, both of them hitting the ground hard. The man lost his grip on Lizzie, and Minho made sure he stayed down. 3 strikes, precise and devastating, learned from his father's security team. The man stopped moving. Lizzie was pressed against the alley wall, shaking, tears streaming down her face. Minho turned to her, his own hands shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. Are you hurt? Did he hurt you? Okay. Her voice was barely a whisper. Minho, you're bleeding. He looked down to see blood soaking through his shirt from the hit to his ribs. The bat had broken skin, maybe broken a rib. But all he cared about was her. Come here. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight, feeling her shake against him. You're safe. I've got you. You're safe now. The police arrived minutes later, alerted by witnesses. The attackers were arrested, and Minho gave his statement through gritted teeth, his ribs screaming in protest. The police seemed unsurprised, like they'd been expecting trouble. Someone had tipped them off. His father, probably, anticipating retaliation for something business-related. At the hospital, X-rays confirmed 2 cracked ribs and various bruises. Nothing permanent, nothing serious but painful. The doctor wrapped his torso, prescribed pain medication, and told him to rest. Minho ignored all of it, focused entirely on Lizzie. She sat beside his hospital bed, still shaking occasionally, clearly traumatized. I'm so sorry. His voice was rough with pain and guilt. This is my fault. They targeted you because of me. Don't. Lizzie took his hand. Don't apologize for other people's violence. You protected me. You fought for me. You made sure I was safe. That's what matters. I could have lost you. The thought makes me insane. I know the feeling. She leaned her forehead against his. When I saw them hitting you, I thought I was going to watch you die. That's the most terrified I've ever been. They sat in silence for a moment, processing. Then Min-ho spoke again. This was the Choi family. I know it was. My father's already making calls, handling it. But Lizzie, I need to know you're still willing to do this. To be with me despite the danger. Despite the violence that sometimes comes with my world. If you want to walk away, if this is too much, I'll understand. Lizzie looked at him like he was insane. You think I'm leaving you because some jealous family sent thugs after us? Min-ho, I love you. That means I'm in this for everything. The good, the bad, the dangerous, all of it. You're stuck with me. Promise. Promise. They flew to London a week later. Min-ho still healing but determined not to delay their plans. The flight was long, but they spent it planning their new life. Finding an apartment, registering for classes, exploring the city together. London felt like a fresh start, away from Seoul's pressure and politics, away from families and expectations and people who wanted them apart. They found a small flat in Bloomsbury, near the university, cozy and affordable and theirs. They moved in together, and for the first time they were just Min-ho and Lizzie. Not the Kong heir and the scholarship girl. Just two people in love building a life together. The first year in London was perfect. They studied, explored the city, made friends, lived like normal university students. Min-ho worked part-time for his father's London office, learning the business from a distance. Lizzie focused on her writing, producing stories that professors praised, building a portfolio. They cooked together, studied together, fell asleep tangled together. It was domestic and simple and everything Min-ho had dreamed of. But in the back of his mind, he knew it wouldn't last forever. 4 years then Seoul. 4 years to prove to Lizzie that their love could survive anything. 4 years before he asked her the most important question of his life. The proposal came at the end of their 3rd year. Min-ho had been planning it for months, coordinating with jewelers, with Lizzie's friends, with his own family. He took her to the London Eye at sunset, arranged for a private capsule, and as they rose above the city, he got down on one knee. Lizzie, 3 years ago you walked into my life and changed everything. You made me want to be better. You showed me what real love looks like. You've stood by me through danger and distance and every obstacle thrown at us. And I can't imagine spending another day without knowing you'll be mine forever. He pulled out the ring, custom designed, a deep blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds. Marry me. Be my wife. Build forever with me in Seoul. Make me the happiest man alive by saying yes. Lizzie was crying, nodding, laughing, all at once. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I'll marry you, Min-ho. I'll go to Seoul. I'll build our life with you. I'll be yours forever. He slipped the ring on her finger, and it fit perfectly, just like them. They kissed as London spread out below them, beautiful and glittering and full of promise. His phone was full of messages when they finally checked it. His family, congratulating them, already planning the wedding. Lizzie's friends, squealing with excitement. The world celebrating their love. They married 6 months later in Seoul, a ceremony that blended both their cultures. Traditional Korean elements mixed with African touches, creating something unique and perfect. Lizzie wore white for the ceremony, then changed into a hanbok for the reception, stunning everyone with her grace and beauty. Min-ho couldn't stop staring at his wife, at the woman who'd chosen him, chosen his world, chosen forever. The reception was massive, hundreds of guests, but all he saw was her. They danced, ate, celebrated, and when they finally escaped to their honeymoon suite, exhausted and happy, Min-ho pulled her close. We did it. We're married. You're my wife. And you're my husband. Lizzie smiled against his lips. Forever starts now. They made love that night, slow and tender and full of promise, sealing their vows in the most intimate way. And when Lizzie woke the next morning, wrapped in her husband's arms, she knew she'd made the right choice. This life, this man, this love, it was worth every obstacle, every fear, every moment of doubt. They were unshakable. The next year was adjustment. moving back to Seoul permanently, Minho taking over more family business responsibilities, Lizzie establishing herself as a writer in a new country. It was hard sometimes, navigating cultural differences, family expectations, the pressure of being Kang Minho's wife. But they did it together, supporting each other, choosing each other every single day. And then, 2 years into their marriage, Lizzie felt different. Tired, nauseous, emotional. She took a test, staring at 2 pink lines, heart pounding. She was pregnant. They were going to be parents. She told Minho that night over dinner, sliding the test across the table without a word. He stared at it, processing, then looked up at her with tears in his eyes. "We're having a baby. We're having a baby." Minho was around the table in seconds, pulling her into his arms, laughing and crying at the same time. "We're going to be parents. Oh God, Lizzie, we're going to be a family. We already are a family." She kissed him. "But yeah, we're expanding it." 9 months later, their daughter was born. Perfect and beautiful, with Lizzie's eyes and Minho's nose. A blend of both their cultures, both their worlds. They named her Jihaya Mara Kong, honoring both Korean and African heritage. Minho held his daughter for the first time and felt his heart expand beyond what he thought was possible. "She's perfect. You're perfect. Our life is perfect." Lizzie smiled, exhausted but radiant. "You were right. That first day in high school when you wouldn't leave me alone. You said I'd change your life. I did, didn't I? You destroyed my life and rebuilt it into something better." Minho kissed his wife, then his daughter's forehead. "You gave me everything I didn't know I needed. Purpose, love, family, home. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for choosing me when everyone said you shouldn't. I choose you in every lifetime, every universe, every possible version of reality." Lizzie leaned against him, their daughter between them. "This is everything." They sat together in the hospital room, new parents, exhausted and happy and deeply in love, knowing they'd overcome everything the world threw at them. From high school drama to family pressure to actual violence, they'd survived it all. Because their love was bigger than obstacles, stronger than fear, more powerful than anything trying to tear them apart. And as Minho watched his wife and daughter, his entire world contained in one room, he knew. Every moment of struggle had been worth it. Every fight, every tear, every fear. All of it led to this. Family. To love. To the impossible becoming possible. To the girl who didn't care about him becoming the woman who was his everything. And that was the greatest victory of all.